In this slideshow, we're going to discuss course policies, and we'll start with attendance. The first thing that you should note is that the full attendance policies are written out in the syllabus. You do need to know the syllabus anyway, and you need to read through it because you're taking a syllabus quiz that's due September 4th. But the attendance policies are also outlined in more detail in there, as well as our COVID-related policies. So for an in-person experiment, there are no excused or unexcused absences. The reason we do this is that there's no possibility of makeup labs because there's no room for it. If you miss a lab, it is a 0 because you did not do that experiment. So it just simplifies things for us, and that's actually why we drop the lowest lab score, is because it's, highly possible that somebody gets sick for a week in a regular semester, or there's a death in the family or some other emergency or an academic event or something. So that's why we drop the lowest lab score. Therefore, we do not do excused and unexcused absences. If COVID is affecting your attendance, meaning that you have it or you are in quarantine because you were exposed or you live with somebody who does have it, you need to be communicating with your coordinators. You also need to make sure that you communicate with the Dean of Students so that they can corroborate your story. If the Dean of Students corroborates it, then we will work with you. There is always an online option that you can complete if illness is keeping you from the in-person lab. If you are enrolled in sections 1 through 29, so not the online course, there are always these extra online labs that are happening for the online course. If you have to be quarantined for some reason, or if you miss a lab for another reason, we will open up the online option for you. So really this semester, there's no reason that anybody should have 0s for any experiment. You cannot make up a lab that you missed for an unexcused reason. So this is the only caveat to that. If you sleep late or you forgot to go to class or you were kicked out of lab for a safety violation, that would be an unexcused reason, and you would not be allowed to make up that lab. All lab reports and data sheets must be turned in during the lab period. Obviously, this is for in-person labs only. If you leave the lab room with your data sheet and turn it in at a later time, your IA will not accept it. The reason being that once you leave the lab room, you have the whole wide world of the internet to help you. You have your friends to help you. This lab is meant to be an independent activity, and so we are only grading what you accomplished during lab. So you need to turn it in during the lab period if you would like a grade. And again, if you are removed from the lab due to a safety violation, such as taking off your goggles or taking off your face mask, or you were let into the room but now like your ankles are showing, whatever, it is a 0 for the lab experiment. And then we have some policies related to equipment. These are actually departmental policies, but they affect our course. So that's why we're talking about them. The big one is that you are financially responsible for the contents of your drawer and the lock on your drawer. So you need to always check your lock before you leave. It happens multiple times every year that somebody didn't check their lock, like they turned it and they closed it, but they didn't pull on it and make sure it was actually locked. And now they are out $400 because other students took things from that drawer in the week that they were gone. And in this semester, you're actually going to be gone for 2 weeks. So if you leave your drawer unlocked, there are 2 weeks before you can come back and lock it. So you need to check your lock before you leave. Also, make sure that you clean your kits before returning to your IA. The stockroom does not accept wet or dirty kits. If they pick up your kit after lab and it is dirty, it is traced back to you because they are labeled, and you will be assessed a $50 cleaning fee. The reason that the stockroom and your IAs are not going to accept wet or dirty kits is that students often leave chemicals in there they don't even realize are in there exactly, and we've had stockroom workers be injured before. For example, one of our experiments uses nitric acid as the solvent, and a student told a stockroom worker that it was just water. and the stockroom worker reached into the bin without gloves on, and they were burned pretty badly. So this is why cleaning your kits is so important. Plus, it helps us make sure that they can be ready for the next group of students who need to use them. So clean your kits well before you return them to your IA. And also remember that you are responsible for cleaning the contents of your drawer. If you have dirty equipment, it can and probably will ruin your experiment. So you are the only person who is responsible for cleaning those. That being said, cleaning the contents of your drawer is kind of your lowest priority in any lab period. If you are in a rush to get out, that's one thing that you can do. You can rinse it out, or dump your waste out and just give it a rinse, and then give it a really good clean the next time that you come in. But you still need to clean it at some point.